Hello, Ms. Paquette. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. I just have a couple of questions really quick for you. And
Okay.
um, what are your opinions on SOAR as a general, as a club? Do you feel like it's helping your students to improve their grades and test scores?
I think so. I think that for the most part, I've gotten very positive feedback from the students. I always make a point to remind them to go to the tutorials that are being held by SOAR. In fact, I remind them multiple times. And then I also do a quick check the morning after the tutorial where I'll be like, okay, hold up your hands if you attended. And that way it gives me an idea of how many students attended. The ones that didn't attend, I usually ask them quickly, like, what was the reason? Was it because you forgot? Or was it because I didn't remind you enough? And most of the time it's because it's a conflict, mainly with their extracurricular or some other things that they had to do. So it wasn't just convenient. It wasn't because they didn't want to attend. The ones that did attend, for the most part, I would say, with the exception of one tutorial, they all said it was quite helpful. They were really impressed with the, I guess, the dedication that you guys put forth to make sure that they learn the materials, to expose them to the content. They also mentioned that you guys hold SOAR for not just biology, but for other subject, and they also liked that a lot. They said it was really, it was a nice service, a wonderful service for students. And they actually, I hear them supporting each other and saying, yeah, we should go, you should go, or you should, not go to that activity and do SOAR instead. So it's nice to know that the students are recognizing the value of the tutorials.
Okay, thank you. And
Mhm.
I just wanted to ask, how do you feel as a teacher through the online learning perspective? Do you feel like it's a little bit tougher on a teacher as well as it is for students?
No, I actually like the online learning aspect. To be honest with you, I've always liked that aspect, mainly because a lot of my college classes are also online. So I deliver online content through the college platform. So this is just a natural extension for me. At first, it was hard having the hybrid where you have like maybe like 5 students sitting in the class and then 25 of them sitting online. So I'm still finding it hard, to be honest, mainly because I focus where the majority of the class of the students are. So if 25 of you are sitting online, then I'm focusing on the online, and I kind of forget the few that are sitting in the classroom with me. So that's the only thing that I find difficult. But if everybody was online, then that would be fantastic, because then I can just focus on what I need to do with the students online. I can gear all activities towards online. I don't have to worry about the technicalities. Okay, well, can the online students hear me if I turn this way to talk to the students that are in the classroom? What happens if I project something on the board or on the screen? Could the students at home see if I share my screen out? So it's the technicality of having to manage the hybrid classes that are more difficult. It's not the online environment. I actually prefer the online environment. I think with technology, we can do almost everything. I think it saves on paper. I think it's more efficient in some aspect as well too. In the with when students come to class, a lot of the time the first 15 minutes is often wasted because you have to get them settled, and you have to get them to basically, okay, everybody open up your notebook, everybody sit down, everybody stop talking, everybody put away your cell phone. So all of that stuff just takes up a lot of time. With online, you don't have to do that. It's like, okay, I see your face, I'm ready to go, you're ready to go. If you're not, you better get ready quickly, because here I am, I'm off I go. So there's that part, is that I actually recover more time when I teach online, at least for me anyway.
That makes so much sense, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I know that for students, it's been a little bit notoriously difficult trying to get information from teachers because oftentimes there's a couple of miscommunications along the way. So do you think that students are more willing to participate in class after they've been introduced to SOAR lessons and intuitive material that's been fed to them from multiple different areas?
I think that, I mean, it really comes down to what type of student it is. You could have a student that is very gregarious, so a student that's outgoing, that regardless of what learning environment that student happens to be put in, will always participate, will always communicate, will always share out ideas. But then you also get the opposite pole where you have that student where it doesn't matter, even if you say, okay, hey, we're just gonna go into a tutorial, just you and me, and I will help you. It's still gonna, that student will still not be as outgoing because it's just simply their nature. So they tend to be a little bit more introvert. They tend to be much more quiet. It's harder to pull information from them and to get them share out their ideas. But that's just the nature of the student. However, where I think SOAR comes in and is helpful is that because it's done through an online platform, I think that it gives the students more freedom to basically submit questions, to basically ask for clarification because it's with their peers. And it's almost like kind of like a social media type thing where they're used to, where they can chat with each other, they can share ideas, they can communicate more freely without the presence of a teacher overviewing and say, oh, no, that's wrong. So there's not that fear of like being wrong with regards to having a teacher looking you over and assessing you. Now, again, it depends the type, the level of participation and feedback that you get from those students, again, boils down to the type of personality and the type of learners that they are. Learners who take ownerships basically will put out more. Learners that tend to prefer being led would tend to basically stay more quiet and observe more. Now, the problem with that is, unless you're a teacher or skilled enough, it's hard to say. It's hard for you to say, oh yeah, half the class is learning really well, and then the other half is just not paying attention. It's very hard to say that, even for teachers, seasoned teachers. Sometimes we look and we look at an online class and we're like, okay, are you all paying attention or are you all sleeping in class? But I do think that overall, having SOAR, having a peer tutorial session being held regularly truly helps. I think it helps more than it hinders. I think it gives so much to the student population. It offers them tons of opportunities that they would not have. Because I can tell you right now, this year, tutorials have been very few and in between for us. I mean, we have tutorial hours, but our students are so, I guess they're just sick of seeing us on Zoom. And so therefore they're not taking advantage of that. We don't have face-to-face tutorials. At least I'm not, Mrs. Anderson and I, we don't have that a lot. So I think that having SOAR really helps kind of, supplement that aspect that might be missing for some students.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you guys actually get students that come to your tutorial that don't come to mine. Did you know that? So
I
if
actually did
for
not.
what it's worth, I want you to know that students that I believe need to come to my tutorials, they're not coming to my tutorials, but they're coming to yours. So yeah, it really helps. Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
do you believe that SOAR in general has kind of supplemented not only what teachers are giving, but what students are kind of finding from textbook materials and stuff that are not traditionally used in class learning? Like, is
I
the
think
online
so. Yeah, I think so. I think you guys give them not only, I guess, textbook content, but I think you guys also give them the experience, especially if the session's being led by a student at a grade level that's higher. First of all, the students who've gone through IH biology already, like the sophomores have already gone through. They know exactly what's happening. They know the units. They've seen it already. They've been exposed to it. They know this test is difficult. This test is a little bit more easy. They know that certain concepts are harder to master. So I think it's also that experience that is truly valuable. I can teach them the content. I can tell them, okay, here's the textbook. This is what you have to read. Here's extra resources and all that stuff. But really, I can't, from a student's perspective, say, hey, this unit on protein synthesis is very difficult. Mainly it's difficult because there's all this memorization. And not only that, but you tend to get confused between these concepts. So a lot of that, only the people who've gone through the test, who've actually gone through the evaluation, who remembers, oh yeah, I remember struggling with this and I remember not doing well on this part of the test. That's the kind of experience that SOAR students can give to their, I guess, their younger classmates. And I think that classmates who come to these tutorial need to not only watch and listen for content-based learning, but also for the experience on, well, what should I be watching for when I'm engaged with this unit, or what should I be watching for on the test? Like, where is it that I'm most likely to trip up Are there any special details that I need to focus on? That's what I think is really valuable when it comes to peer-to-peer tutoring. Plus, sometimes a peer explains thing that makes more sense to you rather than hearing it from a teacher who might be explaining at a higher level. And we also like when I'm teaching, I have only a certain amount of time, and I have to basically push so much content through that time. So a lot of time I'm like, okay, I think they understand this. So I'm pretty sure they understand it because nobody is saying anything or asking any question. But I suspect that when you guys come to SOAR, a lot of the time, if when questions come out, the students that are leading the tutorials can say, oh yeah, you want to pay attention to this and you want to focus on this and don't forget to go and review this part again because this is going to link up with this. And so it's more helpful, I think, for students to come to peer tutorials because they get that aspect that probably they're not getting from me. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to wrap up this interview by asking you, do you have any additional comments or suggestions from the teacher perspective on what we're doing here at SOAR or any additional changes you'd like for us to make to the club so that we can reach more people?
I think that this year it's because it's all new to me as well too. I don't. I'm still trying to find my way as to what SOAR needs to basically make this really effective for both sides, both parties. So I'm also trying to figure out my own, like, what kind of materials could I also give to SOAR, like knowing that okay, this unit is only 3 weeks long, let's say, and there's 9 topics that I have to cover. What exactly should I give to the SOAR officials so that they can also start prepping early on? I would like to see a more dynamic collaboration between the teachers and the SOAR officials, mainly because I think that we're teaching the units, we know exactly what the content is. What would SOAR like to know also so that they can help these students without compromising the exams or the tests, obviously. So that's one thing that I'm trying to feel my way around as well. With regards to basically attendance, I would like there to be some incentive to basically get more people to come. Right now, I think I have about 50% of my students attending, but I would really like to see that number bump up to 75, to be honest. So I'm trying to figure out too, like how can I incentivize my students to go to a SOAR meetings? The ones that don't make it because they have extracurricular, I always tell them, hey, you need to watch either the recordings or look at the PowerPoint slides that they may have or whatever resources that they posted. So I'm trying to encourage them on that. But next year, I would really like to like figure out a way to bump up attendance. I would like also think of ways that we can partner more efficiently so that your organization is also aware, okay, in this unit, these are the 9 key topics, and here's how they're allocating, say, certain weight or certain categories will carry more weight. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm thinking in order to make it even more meaningful to both our side, because my end goal obviously is for them to understand the content and to do really well on the test. Your
Mhm.
end goal might be to, okay, bump up attendance, spread the word, making sure that the organization has value so that school administrators can support it, and ultimately the school district will basically support it and promote it and maybe even fund you guys. I don't know. So there could be a lot of things that could be beneficial, but ultimately my goal is, okay, can my students use this so that they can basically improve their grades and pass with obviously high grades. So that's what I would like to do, and I think that this is something we have to collaborate. Maybe at the earlier in the school year, at the beginning of the year. So I'd like the officials to think more about what they could request from me. Let me know, and then that way I can work my way through it and say, okay, yes, I can definitely provide you with this material, this content. I can work with you on this. I can look over your presentation. I can, whatever it is that they need from me. We should do it earlier in the school year. So that's what I'm thinking. But aside from that, I think the last one, there was a bit of a behavior issue, and I think it was just a few students that were acting out.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, 3 of them came from my class because that's what I've been hearing. So now, again, I did mention some suggestions to Gotham Penna. The
Mhm.
I don't know how much of it you guys can control. Like, for example, could you actually boot somebody out of the room if they're acting up? Could you restrict their privileges? So those are the things that
Mhm.
you guys may have to investigate. So, but it's certainly, it was disruptive in the fact that a lot of the students came. I didn't know until the students came to me and
Mhm.
actively told me. They said this was, we love going to the tutorial. We make the time to go there because we think it's useful, but this has was what happened. Some students were really disruptive. Others said that, I just moved the chat away. Like I don't even bother looking at, I kind of hide it, and so that I'm not distracted. So you do know that there are students there that are really keen on learning, and they just move the distraction away. But there's always others that are kind of get caught into it, and then they get rolling along, then it's a wasted hour for them. So that was the only thing, is that looking into, managing the behavior of the attendees, looking into sharing and collaborating with the teachers more in terms of additional resources. And then of course things like for me to basically making sure that, I also get my stuff up early enough so that you guys have time to prep. Because I know that a few times I was like, okay, I'm only giving them like a few days notice that we're ending the unit. So it was surprising that you guys not managed to get things up and running quickly, but it's good. You guys are very flexible. So that's nice to know too. Does
Thank
that
you.
help?
Yes, that
Okay,
was very helpful. Thank you so much for your time and your interview. We're so
absolutely.
grateful for your support, and we just wanted to say how, thankful we are for all that you've done for us in just
Oh no, you
growing the
guys were
entire
great.
organization.
Like we should be thanking you. I mean, Mrs. Anderson and I were very grateful as well too that you guys are partnering with us like this. We love the fact that you guys are always like willing to help in setting up a tutorial at literally the spur of the moment and giving us feedback, especially we love the fact that we get these emails from Gotham telling, okay, here are all the attendees, this is what happened. And so we were always caught up, and emails or responses are very prompt. You guys are amazing for that. So thank you so much for letting us for allowing our students to come and to help them like this. So next year, hopefully everything will go smoothly and it will be even more improved and better. And I hope you're still staying as an official next year as well too.
I really
Are
hope
you
so.
staying on? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I'd love to
great.
just be a bigger part of SOAR because I really understand that this organization has been doing so much for fellow students, and it's really
Yes.
nice to be able to be a part of something bigger than just myself.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this has a lot of merit. Yeah. And next year, if you guys need to look for sponsors, I'll definitely sponsor you guys. Okay.
All right, thank you so
All
much,
right.
Ms. Paquette.
You're welcome.